Ethan stood near the back of the alien auction house, arms crossed, eyes sharp. He had been to many of these black market auctions before. Usually they sold broken tech, stolen tools, or rare parts from dead ships. He never expected to see something strange today. But something was strange. A giant crate sat on the stage. It was made of dark alloy, covered in strange glowing locks. The auctioneer, a tall insect-like alien with 4 eyes, spoke through a crackling speaker. "Lot 99, it said. One of a kind, ancient cargo, still sealed. Bidding starts now." The crowd fell silent. Whispers moved through the air like smoke. "No details?" one alien hissed. "No preview?" Another growled. The auctioneer smiled with its mandibles. "Risk makes it sweeter." Ethan looked around. Most buyers backed away. Only a few rich aliens raised their paddles, some for fun, some curious. But the price stayed low. Nobody wanted to spend big on something they couldn't see. Maybe it's junk, Ethan thought. Or maybe it's gold. He raised his hand. The auctioneer blinked all 4 eyes at him. "A human?" "Very rare. Accepted. Bid received." One alien laughed. "Fool humans wasting credits." The price ticked up once, twice, then stopped. "No more bids?" The auctioneer asked. "Going once." "Going twice." Ethan's heart beat faster. He wasn't sure why. "Sold, to the human in the back." The crowd laughed again. A few stared at Ethan with pity. Others looked nervous. The auctioneer grinned. "Delivery in 10 minutes. No refunds." Ethan waited outside, near his old shuttle. It was small, rusty, but still flying. He leaned against the hull, watching the sky. Stars flickered above, and somewhere far away, war still burned in deep space. A hovercart approached. 2 strong bots rolled a sealed crate off the platform. It hummed quietly. The locks flashed red, then green. Ethan stepped forward. "Be careful," one bot said in a dry voice. "Cargo is alive." Ethan froze. "What?" The bots didn't explain. They turned and left. He stared at the crate. "Alive?" He grabbed a cutter tool and slowly unlocked the final seal. With a hiss, steam rose from the cracks. The front door slid open. And then he stepped back. Inside the crate stood a girl. No, not a human girl. She was alien but beautiful in a way that made his throat tighten. Her skin was a soft glowing lavender. Her eyes were large and full of fear, bright like stars. Long silver hair flowed down her back. Thin chains wrapped her wrists. Strange marks, tattoos, glowed softly across her arms. She looked at him like a cornered animal. Please," she whispered. "Don't hurt me." Ethan said nothing for a moment. "What the hell?" He finally muttered. She dropped to her knees inside the crate. "I'm ready. Just don't lock me up again." He shook his head. No. This isn't right. I thought I was buying an object." "Not a slave," she said quietly, his hands curled into fists. "I don't buy people." "But you did." He stared at her. She wasn't lying, and worse. The auction knew. Ethan stormed back inside the auction house. The auctioneer was still on stage, laughing with 2 lizard-like nobles. "You sold me." "A person," Ethan shouted. The auctioneer's grin didn't fade. "We sold you lot 99, all legal under free trade law, no complaints allowed. She's a living being. Technically, she's an organic relic from a fallen world. Her kind is rare." "You knew I thought it was an object," the auctioneer shrugged. "Not our fault you didn't ask." Ethan wanted to punch something, but as he turned, he saw the crowd watching him again. Not laughing now, just watching. As if waiting. As if they already knew what choice he would make. Back at the crate, the girl hadn't moved. She still sat with her head down, like she was waiting for punishment. Ethan knelt beside her. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked up, surprised by the question. "Lyra," she said softly. He sighed. Lyra, you're free now. As far as I'm concerned, I didn't buy you. I bought a crate. You just came with it. She blinked, unsure how to react. You're not taking me back? No, but we need to get off this planet. Fast. Lyra reached out and touched his arm. Her fingers were cold. No one's ever said that to me before. What? That I'm free? Somewhere above the city, a shadow moved across the stars. Someone had just activated a tracking signal. And someone else was already hunting the girl. Lyra sat in the co-pilot seat of Ethan's shuttle, wrapped in a thin blanket he gave her. Her silver hair was tangled, her wrists still red from the chains. Ethan kept glancing at her as he flew the ship through the dark side of the planet's moon. They were heading into low orbit, quiet, hidden, but something kept bothering him. She wasn't just scared. She was trained to be scared, too quiet, too careful, and when she spoke, she paused first, like asking permission from ghosts in her mind. Lyra, Ethan finally said, breaking the silence. How long were you in that crate? She looked out the window. I don't know. I was asleep for some of it. They kept me drugged, I think. Ethan gripped the controls tighter. Why were you even in there? He asked. Lyra hesitated. Then she said something that made him sit up. I wasn't supposed to speak. He looked over. What? They told me not to talk. Not to think. Only to obey. If I spoke out of turn, they punished me. She turned to face him. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. But you spoke to me. You didn't look through me like I was just property. Ethan felt a lump in his throat. You're not property, he said. You're a person. Anyone who thinks otherwise. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped. Unknown signal, the computer announced. Tracking pulse detected. Ethan cursed it under his breath. He checked the screen. Someone had locked onto them. They didn't have much time. Ethan steered the shuttle down toward a shadowy asteroid belt. Old pirate territory. Dangerous, but better than being caught by whoever sent that signal. Lyra stayed quiet, but Ethan noticed her hand starting to glow faintly. He pointed. What's that? She looked down, startled. I don't know. It happens sometimes when I'm scared. Ethan frowned. You have powers? Lyra quickly shook her head. No, my people did. But me? I was born wrong. That's why they sold me. His eyes narrowed. You were born wrong, so they locked you up? She nodded. Ethan clenched his jaw. Sick bastards. The ship dove into the asteroid field, sensors going dark for a moment. Then the HUD. Something hit the hull. Ethan twisted the controls, trying to steer around a spinning rock. Something's latching on. He shouted. A small boarding pod slammed onto the top of the shuttle. Lyra screamed. Ethan jumped from his seat, grabbed the old pulse rifle from the weapon rack, and ran to the airlock. Lyra followed. You stay here, he ordered, but she didn't. Move, I can help, she whispered. He looked at her again, really looked. This wasn't just a scared girl anymore. She was ready to fight. The hatch above hissed open. A bounty hunter dropped down in full armor, tall, scaled with glowing red eyes. His voice was cold and metallic. Return the asset, or die. Ethan aimed his rifle. She's not an asset, she's free. The alien ignored him and stepped forward. That's when Lyra raised her hand, and the glowing marks on her skin flared. Bright blue. The bounty hunter froze, as if hit by an invisible wave. His body twitched. His weapon dropped. Then he collapsed. Dead. Ethan stared in shock. Lyra, what did you do? She looked down at her hands. I don't know. I didn't mean to. But deep inside, something had awakened. Something powerful, something dangerous. And it was only the beginning. Far away, in a dark control room filled with glass screens and silent figures, an old alien general leaned forward as the signal from the bounty hunter went dark. She's awake, he said. Another voice whispered behind him. then the human has no idea what he's just stolen. The bounty hunter's body still lay on the floor, smoking slightly. Ethan backed away, pulse rifle shaking in his hands. Lyra, what are you? She hugged herself, glowing marks fading slowly on her skin. I don't know, she said in a small voice. I didn't mean to kill him. Ethan looked at the fried circuits in the bounty hunter's helmet. His brain had been cooked inside the armor. This wasn't a simple stun effect. Whatever she did, it was raw, uncontrolled power, and now someone powerful knew where they were. He walked back to the cockpit and sat down fast. We can't stay here, he muttered. Lyra followed quietly, her eyes wide with fear. Where will we go? Ethan pulled up the star map. Somewhere they won't follow. Somewhere no signal can reach. He paused, then selected a region called drift space. Lyra blinked. That's uncharted. Pirates, monsters, storms. Exactly, Ethan said. Nobody sane will chase us there. The ship's engines roared as they jumped into hyperspace. Inside the cockpit, Lyra watched the stars stretch into lines. Ethan stayed quiet for a while, then finally asked, why were they hunting you? She took a deep breath. They wanted to sell me to the deep vault. Ethan turned. What's that? It's a prison, she said. But worse, they put people like me in cages and drain our energy. For weapons, ships, power. Ethan clenched his jaw. You're not a battery, she smiled sadly. That's not how they see me. He stared at her for a moment. Well, I do. After a long silence, Ethan got up and walked to the back of the ship. He opened a storage locker and started digging. What are you doing? Lyra asked. Building a plan, he said. He tossed a black jacket at her. Put that on. It'll hide your marks. Then he grabbed a beacon disruptor, an old cloak generator, and a stealth chip. We're going to a place called Station 6. Hidden fuel depot. I know a guy who sells new IDs. Lyra frowned. What for? Ethan grinned. We're going to make you disappear. But someone was already tracking them. A sleek black cruiser exited hyperspace behind them. No name, no signal, no crew. Just one AI and a mission. Inside it, red eyes blinked. Target is changing identities. Countermeasures initiated. It fired a hunter pulse, a virus meant to shut down Ethan's systems without alerting them. It hit. Ethan's ship lights flickered. He froze. Lyra, did you feel that? She nodded slowly. Something's crawling. Crawling? In the walls, in the air. Like it's watching us. Ethan checked the control panel. Damn it. It's inside. Suddenly, the ship's nav system glitched. The coordinates changed. They were no longer going to Station 6. They were heading straight toward a controlled zone. Manual override, Ethan shouted. Nothing responded. Lyra stepped forward. Let me try. He moved aside. She placed her glowing hand on the panel, and the virus sizzled and burned out like paper in fire. The ship's lights came back. Systems restored. Ethan stared at her, stunned. How did you do that? I didn't try, she said softly. I just wanted it gone. He looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. They finally arrived at Station 6, an old mining depot floating in darkness, hidden inside an asteroid. Ethan docked the ship and covered Lyra with a scarf and hood. Stay close, he whispered. The station was mostly empty. Cold lights buzzed. Rusty machines hummed. A few shady travelers passed by, eyes flicking toward Lyra. Too long, too curious. They found Ethan's contact, a chubby four-armed trader named Mox. New ID for the girl, Ethan said. Mox nodded. Cost you. I'll pay. Mox scanned Lyra's face and shook his head. You're lucky. This one? She's not on any public list. Good, Ethan said. But behind Mox's wall of junk, a tiny red light blinked. A hidden camera had just sent a silent alert. Far across the stars. The general opened his eyes again. Another ping. "She's trying to vanish," he whispered. "Send the Reaper." A shadow deeper than night began to move. The small living cabin inside Ethan's ship was quiet. Lyra sat on the edge of a bunk, legs crossed, watching a cup of warm tea steam in her hands. She didn't drink it. She just stared into it like she could read her future there. Ethan sat across from her, fixing a broken drone with a solder tool. He kept sneaking glances at her. Something had changed. Ever since she stopped that virus, she hadn't been the same. Neither had he. Not because he was afraid of her, but because he wasn't. He should be. She melted a bounty hunter's brain, fried a digital attack without touching it, and said it all happened when she felt something. Yet, here she was scared, gentle, sitting with her knees tucked in like a child waiting for a bedtime story. "Do you want to talk about it?" Ethan finally asked. She looked up, confused. "About what?" "Everything. What you're feeling. What's happening to you." She hesitated, then said something he didn't expect. "I feel like I'm becoming someone else." He paused. "That scares you?" "No," she whispered. "It scares me that I like it." They landed on a quiet moon with a green sky and silver grass, Ethan's private fallback zone. A safe house he never used, hidden, untouched. He thought she needed space, time, peace. He was wrong. That night, a storm rolled in. Thunder shook the little shelter. Rain hit the metal walls like falling stones. Ethan woke up to find Lyra standing outside the ship in the downpour, her arms spread wide, eyes closed. He ran out. "Lyra, are you crazy? You'll freeze." She turned slowly. Her skin glowed in the rain. Not just her markings, but her whole body like moonlight poured into her veins. "I can feel everything," she said. "Come back inside. I can hear the storm thinking. I can feel the lightning inside the clouds." Ethan stepped toward her. "Please, you'll hurt yourself." She reached out her hand. He hesitated. Then he took it. Back inside, they dried off near the heater. She wore one of his old shirts, oversized and warm. "I wasn't built for cages," she whispered. "No one is. I don't even know what my people were. I just know it's waking up inside me." Ethan said nothing for a long time, then quietly asked, "Do you ever wish I never opened that crate?" She looked up sharply. "No, never." She moved closer. "You looked at me like I was a person, even when I wasn't sure I still was one." He didn't pull away. She reached out and touched the side of his face. Her hand was warm. Now not glowing, not dangerous, just real. But while they rested, something else was moving, on the edge of the system. A black ship hung in orbit, silent, massive, shaped like a spear. Inside, the Reaper floated in a cryochamber, 8 feet tall. No eyes, no mouth, just metal, muscle, and mission. It received no orders. It didn't need any. The moment Lyra used her powers, the Reaper knew. It was born to find her kind and erase them, one by one. Back on the moon, Ethan repaired the ship's shields while Lyra watched stars rise above the horizon. "Do humans always live this way?" she asked. "What way?" "Running, fixing, sleeping in cold places, trusting strangers with your life." He chuckled. "Pretty much." She smiled. "Strange creatures." He raised an eyebrow. "Coming from you, that's funny." They both laughed. It was the first time she'd ever laughed. And when she did, something small and silver flickered across the sky. A falling star? No, a tracking probe. The Reaper had arrived. The holoscreen buzzed to life without warning. Ethan dropped his wrench and spun around. Lyra jumped from the bunk, eyes glowing faintly. Across the screen, a bounty poster appeared, his face big and bold. "Wanted, human male, Ethan Corvex. Status, armed, dangerous, in possession of biogenic asset reward, 200,000 galactic credits. Alive preferred, dead accepted." Ethan's stomach dropped. Lyra read the words in silence. Then she looked at him, scared, They're not just hunting me anymore, she said. No, Ethan muttered, jaw tight. Now they're hunting us both. He smashed the screen, but it was too late. That bounty poster had just flashed across the underworld's entire network. Mercenaries, pirates, ex-military, all now had one goal. Find Ethan. Bring in the girl, or kill them both. They left the green moon before sunrise. The sky was quiet, but not for long. As they rose into orbit, the scanner lit up 3 ships closing fast. Already? Ethan barked. They must have been nearby, Lyra said, gripping the seat. He flipped on the ship's defenses. This thing wasn't made for combat. Hold on. The first ship, a red fang-shaped hunter, fired a burst of ion blasts. Ethan swerved, left barely avoiding the strike. The second ship followed with a grappling hook. It latched onto the hull. Lyra cried out. They're trying to pull us in. Ethan handed her the backup controls. Take the stick. What? Just keep US level. He ran to the back, grabbed the plasma cutter, and opened the maintenance hatch. Wind howled as he crawled onto the outside hull. Below him, the hook was grinding into the metal, pulling the ship back. Ethan jammed the cutter into the cord and sliced. The hook snapped free, spiraling into the void. But as he turned to re-enter the ship, a third hunter appeared above him. A sniper bot dropped from the belly of the enemy craft and landed on his ship, face to face with Ethan. Its red eye blinked. Target confirmed. It raised its arm. Boom. The bot was blasted off the hull by a pulse burst from the cockpit window. Lyra stood behind the controls, hands shaking, breath fast. She had fired the ship's main gun. Ethan climbed back in, eyes wide. You shot that thing? He asked. Lyra nodded, still stunned. Remind me not to make you mad, he said with a grin. She finally smiled again. Just a little. They jumped to hyperspace. No destination, just running. Again. Ethan sat down, exhausted, sweat dripping down his forehead. This is getting worse, he said. I know, Lyra replied. And it won't stop, Ethan nodded. Unless we stop it ourselves. She looked at him. What are you saying? He pulled out a data chip from his pocket. I have a contact. Someone who knows why they want you so badly. A splicer named Thorn. If anyone can dig into their files, it's him. But it's dangerous, right? She asked. He laughed bitterly. At this point, what isn't? Meanwhile, in the black cruiser. The Reaper stood before a glowing map of space. It watched Ethan's ship disappear into hyperspace. But it didn't panic. It simply reached out a massive arm and touched the star map. The stars bent. Routes changed. It didn't chase. It predicted. Back aboard Ethan's ship, Lyra leaned against the wall and whispered, You risked your life today. Ethan looked at her. So did you. She reached for his hand. I won't run forever, she said. But I'll run with you. He squeezed her fingers gently. Then looked out the window. A price was on his head now. But the girl beside him? She was worth everything. The city of Tarnova Drift floated like a giant lantern in the dark. It was built inside an asteroid, hidden between collapsed trade routes. No laws, no empires, just whispers and shadows. Perfect for someone trying to disappear. Ethan's ship drifted into a private hangar as lights flickered and scanned for weapons. No alarms, no guards. Just silence. Lyra stood by the window, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. She hadn't spoken much since the last fight. Her fingers still tingled with static. Sometimes when she was alone, her hair floated in the air like she was underwater, even when there was no wind. Something was waking up inside her. Something she couldn't stop. They walked through the dim alleys of Tarnova, graffiti and alien languages glowed on the walls. Ethan led the way, coat pulled tight. Lyra followed in silence, her scarf pulled over her glowing skin. They reached a rusted hatch. He knocked twice, paused, then once more. The door creaked open. Inside was a workshop filled with buzzing screens, broken tech, and a strange, tiny man. Covered in silver cables, Thorn, the splicer. He looked up with glowing eyes. Well, you're late, Corvax. You're old, Thorn. The old man cackled, then his eyes landed on Lyra, and his smile disappeared. Is that what I think it is? She's someone, not something, Ethan said. Thorn nodded slowly. Bring her in. For hours, Thorn ran scans, typed code, and read signals coming off Lyra's glowing marks. He didn't speak. Then finally, he turned to Ethan. She's not just rare, Thorn said. She's a blueprint. Ethan blinked. A blueprint for what? For an ancient species that could bend the universe without machines. Thorn pointed at Lyra. She's waking up. Her DNA is reactivating old code that hasn't run in thousands of years. She's like a living terminal connecting to something huge. Lyra stepped back. What does that mean? Thorn's voice dropped. It means she's not just powerful, she's a beacon. And every time she uses her power, that beacon screams across the stars. Ethan's stomach dropped. Then we're not hiding anymore, he said. No, Thorn said. You're already found. Suddenly, the lights in the workshop flickered. Then went out. Alarms didn't blare. The silence was worse. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. Run! But before they could move, the wall exploded inward, and from the smoke stepped the Reaper, 8 feet tall. Silver armor. A single glowing core where its chest should be. No face. No mercy. It didn't speak. It just raised its hand, and the floor ripped beneath them. Thorn was thrown across the room. Lyra screamed as energy pulsed toward her, but Ethan grabbed her, shielding her with his body as they crashed through the floor into the lower level. Smoke, dust, sparks. They landed hard. Ethan groaned. His ribs were bruised, maybe broken. He looked at Lyra. She wasn't moving. Lyra, he whispered, crawling toward her. Come on. Get up. But she was glowing brighter than ever. Her tattoos lit up like constellations. The air around her began to shake. Ethan backed away. Lyra? Her eyes opened, and they weren't normal. They were glowing white, with lines of energy swirling inside. The walls cracked. The ceiling above collapsed. The Reaper dropped down through the dust, reaching for her, and she screamed. But not with her voice. With her power. A shockwave exploded from her body, slamming the Reaper into the wall so hard. The metal dented like paper. The entire workshop shattered into rubble. Ethan blinked as the smoke cleared. Lyra stood in the middle of the destruction, glowing like a living star. The Reaper lay crumpled, chest core flickering. She took one step forward, and the machine began to melt. Then her glow dimmed, her knees buckled, and she collapsed into Ethan's arms. Later, aboard the ship, Ethan gently laid her on the bed, covering her with a blanket. She stirred. I didn't mean to. You saved us, he said softly. I'm scared, I know. Then he whispered something he hadn't said before. I'm not leaving you. Not ever. She reached up and held his hand tightly. Outside, the remains of Tarnova Drift burned, but inside the ship, something stronger was beginning to grow. The stars outside were quiet now. Ethan's ship drifted slowly through an empty stretch of space, far beyond any patrol, empire, or station. No beacons. No enemies. No bounty signals. Just quiet. Lyra lay on the bed, awake, but silent. Her glow had faded back to soft light, the same gentle shine he saw when he first opened the crate. Ethan sat nearby, holding a small data pad. His hands trembled slightly. He had made a choice, a dangerous one. Lyra, he said, his voice calm but firm. I found something. She looked up. What is it? A planet, he said. Unmarked. Not on any charts, just rocks and forest. No cities, no ships. No war. She blinked. And I've programmed the ship to take you there. You can live without fear. You'll be safe, alone but safe. Her face fell. You're leaving me? I can't run forever, Ethan said. Now the galaxy knows what you are, what you can do. If I keep you with me, they'll never stop. She sat up, voice shaking. So you want me to hide? Forever? I want you to live. She stared at him, then whispered, I'd rather live with you. Even if we're running. He stood up, walked to the control panel, pulled out a small glowing chip. This unlocks every tracker still tied to you, he said. Once I destroy it, you'll truly be free. He held it out, let her see it, then crushed it between his fingers. It's done, he said. No more chains, not even digital ones. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. I was born in a cage, she said. Taught to obey, told I was broken. Ethan knelt beside her. You're not broken, he said. You're the strongest person I've ever met. She touched his face gently. Then stay. He didn't answer right away. He walked to the airlock, stared out at the stars. There, floating in deep space, was freedom. But what did that even mean anymore? He remembered her voice, her laugh, the way she looked at stars like they were new every night. Ethan turned around and smiled. They landed on the uncharted planet. The ship sat under a tall silver tree, surrounded by quiet mountains and golden grass. No signals. No danger. Just peace. Lyra walked barefoot through the fields, laughing as the wind moved through her hair. The sunlight made her skin glow again, but not from power. From joy. Ethan watched from the ship's ramp, arms crossed, smiling. Later that night, as the sky turned purple, she sat beside him under the tree. You know what I realized? She whispered. What? You didn't just open that crate. He looked at her. You opened me. Far away, a shadowy figure watched a flickering screen. The Reaper was gone. The mission had failed, and the last of her kind was still alive. A quiet voice asked, Should we send another? The figure shook his head. No, let them disappear. If she returns one day, he paused, she won't be a girl anymore. She'd be a storm, back under the stars. Lyra leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder. I still don't know what I am, she said. He smiled. You're free. That's all that matters. She looked up at him. I don't want to be free alone. And for the first time, Ethan didn't feel like he was running anymore. He was home.